Welcome, everybody, to Business Lunatics. My name is Sean Cullen Carroll, and it's great to have you here for episode 7. So, if you're watching this, it means you are a diehard. You actually went to our YouTube channel and clicked on this, and you are here at the start of the meeting. So, one of the things I like to do is go live early in the group so that when everybody else gets here, I can just let them in and we can start. And we don't have to fight with any technology at the start of the show. But here we are. So if you're tuning in live, welcome. Great to see you. If you are watching this on replay, you can go ahead and fast forward about 5 minutes into the live stream, and we will be getting started as soon as everybody comes in. So great to see you all and welcome. At the start of the show. But here we are. So if you're tuning in live, welcome. Great to see you. If you are watching this on replay, you can go ahead and fast forward about 5 minutes into the live stream, and we will be getting started as soon as everybody comes in. So great to see you all and welcome. At the start of the show. But here we are. So if you're tuning in live, welcome. Great to see you. If you are watching this on replay, you can go ahead and fast forward about
No, there it is.
Here come the lunatics. Here they come.
How many lunatics you got?
I love that. I think that's such a cool word.
The lunatics are here.
The lunatics are here. You better believe it.
And
Marlon, see if you want to change your background.
I did change
Okay.
it.
I just changed mine.
he's
Oh,
a
Bailey. I thought you said
Well,
Steve.
hang on a
you're,
second.
yeah, you're a
Hold on.
disembodied voice right now.
Hold on a second. I just changed it. Silly thing.
Like the Invisible Man.
Oh, that's weird. Hold on a second. I got that. What about this? Oh,
Black
I'm sorry.
screen.
Wait. Okay, I
There
got
he
it. I got
is.
it. No,
Now,
my camera is I have a
A lens.
cover lens cover on my camera. I forgot it was on.
Oh, Steve, good to see you because I thought we weren't going to see you this week.
Right.
Hi.
hey,
Things got changed around. Here I
good.
am.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Well, just real quickly, I'm not going to be available next week, just so you guys know.
Okay.
I have
FYI.
a huge presentation at 3 o'clock for Mandelbaum Barrett, big law firm. So I'm leaving it.
Nice. All right.
Leaving
Well,
it 10 up no matter what.
as we say in the acting business, break a leg on that one.
All
All right, we are live on
right,
YouTube.
cool.
Welcome back, everybody, to Business Lunatics. This is episode 7, and we are starting to put together what looks like a show here. We actually have some pages and some clips and some marketing that is finally completed, and we're in a rhythm. So what I love about this is each week we kind of add another layer, and over time, this thing's just going to keep growing. And the conversation last week I thought was really I thought we had a lot of really practical things to think about. I've been thinking a lot about our conversation specifically as I've been interacting with my AIs this week. And I don't know about you. Let's start there. So first of all, if you're joining us for the first time, this is Business Lunatics. My name is Sean Carroll. I'm joined here by Rochelle from Dynamic Business Growth. We have Steve Furman. Actually, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. I don't have to do the dirty work. So why
Yeah, we
don't we
can.
just do a quick round the what I almost said Family Feud. It's Brady Bunch, not Family Feud. Or there was a TV show. Was it the Peer where everybody was in a
Brady
Brady
Bunch.
Bunch.
yeah, but then there was a game show that they where the
Hollywood
celebrity
Hollywood
Squares.
Square. Hollywood.
Hollywood Squares. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
there you
you.
go. That's what we look like, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, and we're all old enough to not know the answers to all the hip current questions. So,
Yeah.
but
Right. And we're dating ourselves when we start
yes.
talking about Hollywood Squares. I
I
love it.
know, but yet we're also
Um,
talking about AI at the same time. So, like, look at us.
definitely.
All right. So, I'm Sean Carroll. I run HR Kickstart. You can find us at hrkickstart.com. We provide fractional HR services, HR operations for fast growing startup companies and media companies. Happy to be here. And let's kick it to Rochelle. So, Rochelle.
Rochelle Listener, dynamic business growth. And I always say that it's dynamic business growth and not schlep along business growth. And I support, the consistent growth of companies.
Great.
How about
Steve.
take it, Steve?
Hey there, Steve Furman with the 4 Pillar Coach. And that's the number 4 Pillar Coach, just so you know. We are business executive coaches that do a flair of AI with intent. So we are also chief AI officers, and we help you get your growth and your scaling done by using AI and doing it faster and a little more efficiently.
Awesome.
Cool. I think this is a good idea, Steve. I said Steve, Sean, to have everybody introduce themselves again. We've been through what, 6 shows, 7
Yeah.
shows? Is that
Yeah.
7?
This is
Right?
number 7.
Oh,
This is
is
number
it?
7. Yeah. And I think it's probably a good idea now that, and we also switched platforms, went from LinkedIn Live, we went to
Yeah.
YouTube. So you had a good idea here for introductions.
Yeah. Just to
So
be,
my first name is Maley. My last name is Hostile. I'm the CEO of Smart Finds Marketing out of the Detroit metro area. We're a full service marketing agency, been in business for 38 years. The internet group's been in business for 31 years. So it's been a long ride. It's been a lot of fun, and we're here to share knowledge and experience.
welcome everybody. Good. Yeah. Probably especially in the first few minutes of the video, it's good for people to have a sense of who's talking with them and kind of what our background is. Because in addition to the years of experience, we have such a diverse skill set here.
We do.
The clients we serve and how we do what we do and what we do, and it's changed over those years, I'm sure. but yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about the AI conversation, and you know what I've this is what's on my mind today. So I'll start with what's on my mind, and
Hmm.
we'll see where the conversation goes. What's on my mind is, as we were talking about AI, and as I was digging a little deeper, and I was looking at Google's new AI product and looking at all these things, the algorithm has been introducing me to a bunch of, we'll call them AI experts and coaches. And so I started to think about this because I've been considering hiring different types of folks, not for AI, but just for different parts of the business. And I was thinking, like, how do we tell the difference between somebody that is a self-proclaimed expert, especially in something like AI, compared to somebody that like really knows their stuff? And I'm just curious how the three of you make that decision when you're about to bring somebody into your business to advise you, to work with you. Because the AI thing, I've been seeing so many, whether it's and this is not a knock off you,
Everybody.
Steve. Yeah, because Steve, like you're clearly an expert in this area, and you do what you only teach what you do. But I'm sure you would agree that that's not really the case out there. So how do we know who to listen to, whether it's AI or sales or marketing? I mean, we all sell a product or.
And I came out, they were a web expert. They were putting out websites because they said they could.
Yep.
The reality is it is the Wild West for us as like a chief AI officer who went through the certification. I went through a process of learning and having to prove that I understood AI, that I could build an agent, that I could actually write GPTs. Getting certified was important to me, but honestly, if someone knows AI, someone knows AI. They don't have to be certified to be an AI expert. But the hard part is it's really hard to determine or discern if they truly are what they say they are. So I would suggest background checks on them. If they have a certification, I'd be more apt to trust that they have some truth in their abilities. But I would ask for references, not of their friends, references of companies that have used them that can validate what they do. The usuals, go to the Google page, see if they have any actual testimonials. But it's hard because it's the wild, wild west. And if you can write a couple prompts to the rest of the world, woohoo, you're really cool. And that's not really it. If you can solve problems strategically and think in AI, think as a thought leader, I think, or a thought partner using AI as your partner, I think you're more qualified than someone who could just write a GPT.
I
And then
mean,
there's
I'll take it one step further on this. If anybody says I'm an expert in anything digital,
Mhm.
run away. Nobody is an
There's so
expert.
much I don't know, and I've been in technology since 1979. That should
Me
explain it.
too. I agree.
There's so much
Listen,
I don't
I
know.
was, yeah, I mean, I was coding on an Atari, okay? That's, that's how
Hey
far back
man,
I can go. And so,
and
but
this
listen,
and next.
yeah, but listen, guys, I'll share an interesting story. I had a buddy of mine who was on a radio show out of Tampa, and he asked me, "Hey, do you want to be a guest?" And it's literally a radio show. And I said, and obviously I'm in Michigan, he's down in Tampa. He goes, yeah, just come over to the internet. We'll stream you live and so on and so forth. And so, and in the beginning, I mean, he knows me, right? He still introduced me as the digital marketing expert. Okay, right there in the beginning. All right. Now listen, we're live in Tampa, and so he goes, "Hey, Maley, take it away." And I said, "Hey, great to be on the show." Blah blah blah. I said, "But listen, I need to stop you." I said, "I'm not an expert." Okay, and I can just see his jaw drop right where I'm like, and I said, "I just want to be clear. There is no version of anybody being an expert." In the digital world, there's so much out there, so much changes daily, so much changes and and never mind, let's face it, technology is based on spiral development, right? So version 1 to version 2 the version 3, you're trying to keep track of all these things. And I just don't think there's anybody out there to be an expert. Rather, what I said on the radio show was, listen, we all have knowledge and we have experience. The question is, how do we take the knowledge and the experience and apply that
Mhm.
to whatever the circumstance is, right? In my case, it's all marketing. So how do I take all this knowledge and experience from all these different clients and companies that we've worked with over 30 years? And as we progress and we move into new developments, new technologies, new strategies, new tools to be able to accomplish what we need to do, you're taking this experience and the knowledge that you gain, you're trying to apply it into the next situation or whatever the scenario looks like. That, in my opinion, is what you're looking for when you're trying to interview somebody that's going to be helping out.
Yeah,
But
application
it's
is everything.
yeah.
So just
Rochelle, go ahead.
real quick, you mentioned coaching, and one of the things I really didn't bring up, but I probably should have. I'm kind of like a unicorn. I'm a certified scaling up executive business coach, so I help companies grow and scale. I just happened to fall in love with AI and how quickly it could get me through all the minutia and all
Yeah.
the crapola, and how much smarter it was than me, so I could leverage it and use it to analyze and understand things better. So I'm kind of a unicorn in that regard. So you want to find someone that's qualified.
Yeah.
That proves that they're
I
qualified.
agree.
Rochelle?
I look at it a little differently. I like to know, when I speak to people, I like to know, how do they pull a rabbit out of a hat? I want to know what's their complicated, what did they do that was complicated? Not the day-to-day, that my Shih Tzu dog could probably take care of. I want to know what's complicated. What did they do? What did they do? What's their level of expertise? And when they tell me a story of something that's complicated, then I want to know what was their process and what was their results, because people that wing it don't have a process and they don't have consistent results, and they can't tell me a story of that they did anything that was amazing. That's number one. Then I test current. Current is really big. So for example, I have an account recently that's looking for a salesperson, and somebody came in and that person had what I would consider like the Flintstones way of doing sales, knocking on doors, cold call. I mean, you couldn't have gotten older if you tried. Now, my thought is, if you're really brilliant at sales, you've got to be fluent, and I mean fluent in LinkedIn. I want to know that LinkedIn, like backward, forward, sale. I mean, I know somebody that's so amazing in LinkedIn that she can get Mother Teresa on a call. Okay, that's how amazing she is. I mean, beyond her capacity and what she can do and how she understands it and how she can, connect to somebody to get somebody. I mean, it's beyond brilliant. That's sales today, in today's day and age. So are you current? Now, if somebody tells me that they dabble in LinkedIn, Toodles. I don't need a dabbler. I dabble. I want you to come in and wow me with your skill in that area so that I know that you can bring in the kind of client that I can on my own. So I want to know, tell me the story. Tell me your process. Tell me the problem that you solve. I don't care about your title.
Prove it. What are you going to do for me? Prove it.
I don't care about your title. You can call yourself I don't care what you call yourself. You can call yourself, Jesus walking on water. I don't care. But tell me a story that proves to me that you walked on water. Prove to me. I want to hear that story. Tell me your process and tell me your result. If you have a process, that means that you can deliver it over and over again. You're not winging it. It's not luck. It's not like, oh my, and then tell me your result. And if you can qualify the result, you made, $5, $5 million. I have people that exaggerate numbers. Like they pull a number, they pull a number out of, like, I don't know where they got their number from. They can't validate it. They can't tell me that what they did specifically led to that number. So again, what are our qualifying questions that, based on what we are asking, they can prove to us what their skill set is, what their process is, and based on that, we can understand whether or not we can hire them. I don't need somebody with less experience than me, okay? That's not why I'm bringing you in.
I agree.
You should name the process too. I was taught years ago by Dan Sullivan. I reference him a lot because he's a smart man. If you have a system and a process, it'll set you free. But if you name your process,
it becomes sexy and everyone will buy it.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah, I love what
Rochelle, you've been talking about, what you're talking about is social selling, right? And we've been talking about social selling for over 10 years.
But
I will tell you,
more than that.
But that concept is never been adopted by the sales world. I mean, and the thing that you're experiencing, or that you just talked about, I mean, we see that day in and day out, unfortunately.
I wish I saw it day in and day out. I wish. I would love to see it.
Not hang out with Millie.
I don't see you getting anything out of
Yeah.
anything. I have people that wing it, that think that they're going to, dazzle. Oh, I love this. I love when people dazzle me with, I have like 40, I've got 50,000 impressions. I've got, 43,000 followers on Tuesday, 100,000 on Thursday afternoon, 400 million and whatever. And then I say, well, what's your conversion? Zero. I mean, like, I don't go. There's so much hype without substantial results, and we as business owners need to qualify it. We need to ask the question so that we can, what I call smoke out what they're saying. Is it accurate? Do they actually know what they're doing? Or is it, are they just, latching on to buzzwords? Because there's a lot of sexy language going on right now that you think that somebody is qualified, but you just scratch the surface, and boy, does it cave pretty quickly.
Yeah, the when you talked about current, this has been a pet peeve of mine in the last few years, is that people getting on stages and on podcasts talking about tactics that made them successful. And these were tactics of even 18 months ago or a year ago that are no longer relevant. And so, and then but they're really good communicators and really good marketing people. So they're able to sell this dream, if you will, and people will buy these courses and whatnot, and they're learning tactics that are already dead. And
Yep,
so there are certain tactics
I
that are
agree.
universal. There's certain things about human psychology that stay pretty consistent. But even because of the amount of information that we're all exposed to on a day-to-day basis now, if you're marketing and selling like you were even a few years ago, it's just not going to be as effective. And so when I see coaches selling, masterminds and teaching blueprints from 2016, and they were killing it in 2016, but those conversions now, maybe you would get a 10% conversion rate, and now maybe it would be a 0.2 or a 0.3 on those same tactics. And so staying current is key. And it's not always about the latest fad. It's staying current for me on what's working right now and showing me how is it working, who has had success with it. Have you had success with it with other clients like me? So meaning, in my case, professional B2B service provider, because Rochelle talked about LinkedIn. There's a lot of LinkedIn wizards that are great at getting business for SaaS companies. But if I hired them, it's not going to work because their playbook
Mhm.
works for SaaS products really, really well. But the way that our buying process works is very different as a service provider. So it's like, look, getting real nuanced. And this reminds me of, so one of my mentors gave this example. When you're anytime you're about to hire anybody, or listen to anyone's advice, if someone's giving you advice, if it's about growing your business or something around building or scaling a business, it's like you want to ask them a couple of questions. What's the biggest thing you've ever built personally in terms of number of employees, amount of revenue? What's have you ever sold a business? If so, what's the biggest business you've ever sold? If you're asking them for advice on M&A stuff, you want to know, like, have you, and if the answer is no personally, what clients have you helped do the same? Because this is where I've come around a little bit. Uh, I used to think they had to be the one to do it. Now I'm like, even if you've never grown a $20 million company, but you've successfully worked with 10 businesses that like mine and have helped them do the same, and they can verify, something clearly you're doing is right. A lot of New York Times best-selling authors that have these frameworks in place in these Fortune 500 companies have never built the thing that they're telling the Fortune 500 company to do, but it clearly works for them. So I think you just need to know the difference. And then lastly is if somebody's giving you financial advice, I just flat out ask them, like, what's the most amount of money you've ever made in a year? And man, some people get really offended by that question. And I'm like, we're having a money conversation here, man. So I'm not, I
You
don't,
Well, it's kind of
know,
it's
I
kind of
have
like the sales
got
guys. How much
I
did
have
they
to tell
sell,
you the
right?
funny story on that one. Does everybody know who Mark Victor Hansen is?
yeah, yeah,
Mark Victor, he's one of the co-authors of Chicken Soup for the Soul. Anyway, he said something which I thought was amazing. Every imaginable financial planner, went over to him and said, I can grow your money, and he was terrific. He said, "Show me your portfolio, and I'll let you know.
yeah.
Show me, give me
Yeah.
a copy of your finances. And if your finances are equivalent to mine, and if you have like the 25% growth that you're promising me, and I can recognize it specifically in your portfolio, then we can have a conversation. He said in 25 years, one person did it. One.
I believe it.
I'm not surprised. I believe it
Yeah,
too.
well, it's a results world, and so
He worked with
um,
that one person.
yeah, and absolutely, as he should. And so I think it's just interesting to me. The more that I've studied the statistics about wealth, money, business owners, how big businesses get, the statistics tell me that most people out there that are advising on business have never reached a threshold that probably they've claimed to. Just
Nope.
statistically, it would
I
be
agree.
impossible because
They all embellish. They all do.
yeah, 9% of businesses, 9% of small businesses never make more than $1 million in revenue. 65% of businesses only have one employee, it's themselves, and there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong. There's nothing wrong with being a solo
The
business.
majority of the
Right.
businesses,
And that's totally cool. Like I was a solo business owner for a lot of years and made a great living. And so I don't want to be misunderstood that I think it's bad. It's just if that person is advising me on how to go from 100 to 200 million, like there's a disconnect. Like we need to figure out why, what makes you qualified to help me go from 100 million to 200 million. It's a very different skill set to go from that than to go from 0 to 100,000. Both are important. You need both, but like know the difference and ask the right questions. And I
That's what I'm saying. We have
yeah,
got to qualify what we're looking for, and I just love asking the question. How did you pull a rabbit? Let's talk about it.
yeah,
And based on if they specifically tell you how they do something, you can get a sense of their areas of expertise, or if it's just hype. At least I mean, thank God. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I can.
I got 2 points that I think are very important. The first one, answer your question on AI and like, how do you know if they're qualified or not? Ask them how many times or how often they train. How often are they constantly like learning new products and new AI tools? Because that's somebody that's truly invested in doing and becoming proficient in AI. The other thing is, I have a couple of proposals out for some very, very out of character, large clients for me, like $30 million client, like 300-person law firm clients, like big. Actually, I'm leaving this meeting. I'm going to one right after it. I've never sold to anybody of that size. The largest I ever got was 8.5 million when I exited. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I think it's a pretty good accomplishment.
absolutely.
I have
Sure.
helped other people buy and sell their companies, and I bought and sold companies. Does that make me an expert in it? No, I would say not. But here the reality is that sometimes that's not your entrepreneur. You got to sometimes stretch a little bit. Thank God I'm smart enough to have systems and processes, and yes, they are named Rochelle, and I use them in my terminology, in my communications, and everything that I do. So when I give this presentation at 3 o'clock, I'm going to be upfront. Say, no, I've never dealt with a company your size. As a matter of fact, I think they kind of already know that.
Of course they do. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure they've done their research, but it doesn't mean you don't go after it. It doesn't
that's
mean
right.
it doesn't
Right.
mean you don't try and strive for the bigger deals. Because I know I have resources in my chief AI officer community that I can pull in to help me pull this off.
And you're leaning into it though. Like I think the difference with what you just said is you are proud of what you've accomplished, and you're not misrepresenting in any way
No,
like who you've worked with. You're sticking to like here's the value of what I can bring to your situation. But like we talked about at the beginning, there's a lot of people that think that they have to, they'll put logos of companies on their site that they've never worked with to try to give the appearance, or they'll put faces of people on their site and say this is my team, when in reality it's a bunch of independent contractors. And I've gone back and forth on this too myself, because people have said you need to put more people on your website, and I totally understand why they're saying that, because it looks like it's a husband and wife running the whole shop. And so what we're looking at is like, okay, how can we properly represent who these people are so that we are not pretending that we have 38 employees? The reality is we have a bench of really qualified contractors. And so, but people, I remember getting into it with this one guy who's like, I don't care who it is, just say it's our team. I'm like, that's illegal. It is, if the IRS first of all, if the IRS comes after me, they're going to be like, who are these people? Second of
and
all,
Put
listen,
on your team. You must be
I
paying
mean,
taxes.
this isn't
yeah,
the 1950s anymore,
no,
guys,
Here's what's
right? I mean,
interesting.
we're dealing with the millennial generation. It's not going to take well
no,
to
they
these
will
types of
figure out.
things.
If you're a
Right.
fraud, you will be found out.
Exactly. And it's
I
kind of
think
and
honesty and transparency, I think, is paramount, and
But
I
here,
think we respect that.
I
but
mean
here,
just to kind of
you're doing something very different, Steve. You're bringing a very narrow, particular skill set, AI at the moment. So the AI, the thing that you are working with and what you're working on with companies doesn't matter about the size of the company. So somebody, what you're working with can be for a company that's, 200,000 and a company that's 200, like 25 million. It doesn't it doesn't affect your product. But if we're peddling, if we're really supporting something that is only valid for a huge company, and you're not connected to it, you don't know what you're talking about. That's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
And
I
so
mean
in your particular case, the size of the company is irrelevant. It's the narrow thing that you're representing, which doesn't affect, it doesn't go by the size of the company. You're 100% credible. But when you start mentioning that, oh my God, I need, that it's totally not in connection to what you're working with, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
I mean, just to kind of follow through on Rochelle's example of using sales guys, one of the problems that I've run into in the past is sales guys turn around and say, "Oh, I did all these different things," right? And they do misrepresent themselves. And I remember I got to the point where I started to ask, "Hey, how many people do you have in your Rolodex?" Okay, I'm going to date myself again. How many people do you have in your Rolodex? And all of a sudden, I get a blank stare, and it's like, I'm sorry, you did all this work and you're not able to tell me that you can reach out to 100 people? What's, what are we doing
Okay,
here?
well, come on. I've sold, $300 billion worth of products and services. Yeah,
Right.
maybe over your lifetime. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
if you were selling, $20 million machines at a
I
time,
mean, yeah,
maybe.
and this just goes back to you have to qualify these people.
I just think
Regardless of what space they're in, it doesn't make a
That's where we
difference.
whoever,
started. I said you got to check the references. You got to qualify them. You got to really. It's funny how we
Yep,
get on
I
both
agree.
sides.
I
All
just
right.
Back
want
to
to
the
say,
same
if
point.
anybody is watching us today, my suggestion is, especially with sales, that is the one role I would say you've got to be the most careful in terms of qualifying them, because that is, I mean, I've heard stories that they tell me stories
Yeah,
that it just, it's very common that somebody comes from a different company in the same industry. So what they'll do is they'll kind of hijack some of the clients that they're working with, and they'll come to you, and then once that's over, they don't have another book of business, and then if they leave you, they're going to steal your clients. So
yep.
you've got to be really careful on how you're setting up a system in place that you're going to qualify if somebody knows how to bring in business from scratch, not from a previous account rolling over. Can they open a door with somebody that nobody knows and have them give you their credit card? And what is their system in doing it? And if they're not familiar with LinkedIn, I would just say, have a nice life.
And the best salespeople that I encounter, every single one of them, I mean, I could tell you my numbers. Like, I know exactly how many calls. I know what the conversion is. I know the price points. And, as I talk to a lot of, and I'm talking primarily B2B world right now, but I think this was the case even in B2C. If somebody is really a sales professional, they obsess over their numbers. Numbers are how they get paid. And
APIs,
so
man. They are
they can tell you
watching.
not only how many sales they made, they're like, I only did 27 appointments last week. I got to hit 35. And so like when I'm interviewing, I like to talk about those things about tracking and they don't have to be a spreadsheet wizard, but if I say, how many leads did you convert last quarter? And they're like, yeah, like about 7 to 8 or 9. That uncertainty, and I'm out because I've never, I haven't,
They know the answer.
and the answer isn't good if
There,
they're
there
fudging
is
it.
no version of 5 to 7, 7.
No, it's like now if I'm going in and I'm like, I closed $283,000 last quarter.
Right.
My target was 225. I exceeded it by 63,000. Here's the number of leads that my company gave me. Hey, buddy, here's the, here's the she makes her weekly appearance.
Yep, absolutely.
You know what's funny is
Years
I give her a
ago.
little bed here on the side, but she still wants to be on camera, right? I know. Welcome to Business Lunatics.
All right, I think we need something around the neck, just kind of make her
Yeah.
show ready.
Part of the call.
So anyway, numbers, I think with sales, I think numbers, I think knowing, so Steve, you raised some good questions about how to know how to tell if somebody is truly an AI professional, like in a professional trains and studies, because in this business, it moves so fast. I think every successful person trains a lot, but with AI, because it literally changes by the day or the hour, if they're not actively using, I would love to know
Yep.
what tools do you use in your everyday personal life and what tools are you currently using in your business, and then just listen to the conversation and you'll know by how they're talking if it's the real deal or not.
Yeah, that's a great question to ask. I can tell you my stack is pretty straightforward. It's ChatGPT, it's Perplexity. I use Hey Jen for creating my avatars of my videos and sending messages and little shorties. Descript for editing of my information. I use 11 Labs for my voiceovers and my voice worker bots, as well as doing podcasts. And I use Motion for my overlay on my calendar for my tasks alignments and my projects. And I think, oh, I just got a brand new one. This is a little secret for you guys. Humantic,
Heard
Humantic.
of them.
I heard about that one.
Let me tell you
Yep.
something. If you want to do sales and you want to find out about somebody, how they think, how to
Romantic.
talk to them, how not to talk to them, what they like, what they don't like, what will make them buy, what won't, humantic.ai. And it's not that
Yeah.
expensive. It's $32 a month. But I just added that to my stack.
Love
I
it.
did the trial for 7 days, added that today.
Steve, you're being too specific of the thing that you're using. You need to be a little more vague. Okay.
Well,
Yeah, but like
cool.
listen
That's for
to, but
me.
see how quickly like that, Matt, like see how quickly he was able to, because those things he's
Oh, I know
like
exactly. My
somebody
point.
that's not doing right, somebody that's not doing their thing, like whether it's marketing, sales, AI, operations, being able to rattle it off like that with confidence, clarity, specificity, and not just on a teleprompter, like
No, there's no teleprompter
yeah,
here.
like we're talking like this is a real conversation and
It's different products do different things. I don't think a lot of
totally,
people
yeah,
figured that out
Yep.
yet. Even though LLMs, generative AI, a large language model, is Claude, it's ChatGPT, it's Gemini, it's Copilot. They're all large language models. So is Perplexity. People have no idea about that in the search engine.
I've been using that instead of Google.
Yeah,
So
but people don't realize it's just a large language model. It's a wrapper over ChatGPT. But what I tell people is use what works for you, build your stack, build
yep,
what you need. Just because Microsoft Office comes with all these different products, you don't got to learn how to write and access or write a program.
that's right. Yeah,
But the thing here is that people need to experiment, right?
Oh yeah,
Don't get stuck on ChatGPT alone.
right.
Check out Claude. There's nothing wrong with
My
Claude. It's a good
CMO
tool.
loves
Okay.
Claude. She loves Claude over ChatGPT any day of the week.
yeah, we're a split household too. I use a lot. I'm heavy ChatGPT. My wife is heavy Claude. And so for an experiment this week, I'm only using Claude for the same things I was using ChatGPT for last week because I'm trying to, yeah, I like to just experiment, like we said, and see like, it's so interesting to me because all these companies are competing with each other so rapidly, and we're talking about hiring experts, and gosh, there's just so much
But
BS.
there's experts, for instance, this one huge law firm, they're a Microsoft shop. So do I have to know Copilot?
Yeah,
The reality is I can use it the same way I can use ChatGPT, except
right.
some nuances on ways that you save things, doing projects, whether you get a canvas or not. There's some nuances to it, but basically it's the same thing. You're going to get the same kind of responses out of it. But you got to.
But it also depends on how you intermix, like all those tools that you mentioned a little bit ago, Steve. I mean, those are great.
Oh, I
you
forgot
figured out how to.
Gamma. Gammon,
You
one of my favorites. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you figured out how to learn about them, how to use them in your business and in your day-to-day work. And you have identified which ones work for you, right?
Yeah, I did
And I
what I
think
would
that
do for a client. That's how I would figure it out for a client.
right. And this thing, like for example, you mentioned humanity a little bit ago. Well, guess what? The results of humanity are better suited for Claude based on the analysis that it's going to do about somebody versus taking the humantic results and putting them in the chat GPT. And so that's my point is that each engine does a little bit, has a different nuance.
Yep.
And you need to identify what that nuance is and decide which ones you're going to use. You came up with a great list. You're actively using
I
them.
didn't even
So
tell you
I
all of
love
them.
it.
There's N8N, there's Bolt, there's Make. I didn't even get into the agentic
Now we're
system.
getting into the agents.
Agent. I
Yes,
didn't get into those. That's a whole nother
man,
conversation. I'm
that's
trying to
like
stick
a.
to just Gen AI, generative,
Yeah.
predictive
I think
text.
what we're illustrating here is what I love about this conversation is we're speaking from things that are being done, like actual doing of things is where the knowledge and the expertise is coming from. And so what's really been driving me nuts is just to see how quickly somebody that maybe went to and took a class on something and now took that, packaged it into their own course and is now trying to teach me or sell me $1,000 course on basically the repackaged and repurposed thing that somebody else gave them.
Yeah.
And it's America. Hey, make a living, put food on your table. But the one that's been hitting me a lot lately is the ad for people telling people that have never used AI before how to start an AI based
Oh, in
business.
72 days or whatever.
Here's how you can make money selling other people AI stuff, even if you've never used AI. Cool. It's America, capitalism. Let's go. But maybe ask a few questions first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, I have one of my very first applications that I wrote and put out to the world. June 2nd, a little shameless plug on my new website comes out on June 2nd. There's a free readiness AI assessment on there that I wrote using Bolt, which is no code, low code kind of a program. Basically, you don't need to know how to write software anymore. It's starting to do it more and more for you. But yeah, so the AI readiness assessment. So if you want to know if you're ready for AI, you'll be able to go to my website and take the assessment and find out.
Nice. We'll
I just
Very
think that
cool.
you got to put your foot in the water.
Mm.
Learn how to do the swimming. You don't have to dive off a 10 foot. You don't have to go into 10 feet of water. You can start with the baby pool and just kind of increase your, let the water just keep coming up, add something. Because I think my other concern is when you know that there's so many platforms, the overwhelm can cripple somebody.
yeah.
So choose
Paralyze you.
anything. It doesn't even matter. There's no such thing as a right choice. It's just a choice.
Just move. Yeah.
Just a choice. Pick anything, and then as you start moving forward, you can always course correct. And that's what Sean, I give you a lot of credit for just getting us up and running because we couldn't wait for the right thing. We made it right. We started with LinkedIn. It didn't work out. Technology started to get funky. So you did some background and now it's YouTube and it's working. So the point is we
2
can't
weeks in a row. 2 in a row.
you can't be stubborn and say it's this way or the highway. We've got to be really flexible.
Yeah.
And here's a word that we all need to familiarize ourselves with, because I don't know about you, but I'm not too great with it. We got to be patient. I mean, we expect to, learn Chat GPT in, 45 minutes or less, and it's not going to happen.
You
We've got
can't
to
break
be
it.
patient.
You can't break it. Don't be shy. Say anything you want
Got
to.
to be
Learn it
patient
slowly.
with yourself, and
It
you got
has no feelings whatsoever.
And you got to
I,
weave it in somewhere, like between your 2 o'clock and your 4 o'clock, weave in 20 minutes. Are you going to get 3 hours? No. Do you think that you're going to spend a half a day to kind of conquer something? No. But give it some time is better than no time. And that's the way I
Yep.
think I've built anything that I've ever done. Some time is better than no time. Would I like to put more time into it? Yes. Do I? I mean, that's our biggest commodity right now, time and attention. So I don't have 3 hours. Do I have 20 minutes? I'll make that 20 minutes and I'll go from
I
there.
say 5 minutes, but use it every single day. If
Yeah.
you make that
Consistency is
commitment,
more
put a
important.
sticky note on your screen, use AI, 5 minutes every day, you will eventually start to learn it. Sure, other times you'll use it more, but just 5 minutes a day to ask it a question. Hey, how do I write a chat GPT? How do I, fix my car? I had to look up how do I get web embed code for my Calendly to send to my web guy from my website.
Yep.
I use chat. Hey, help me out.
It's
I
funny
mean,
you
guys,
said,
just take a look at our show. I mean, when Michelle, you said patience. I agree with you. I mean, how long did it take us to finally at least have our first show off the ground? Not to mention when we thought we were ready.
3 or 4 weeks, I
it
forget.
was it was a good month. Yeah.
It was
It
right.
is.
I mean,
It's patience and positive and like and we've got to be like kind to ourselves instead of saying what am I, an idiot? I didn't know how to do this. I had a tech. No, it's like let's just like work through it. Let me be patient. If it's not now, let me continue. And I just think the inevitability of something for me runs along the same lines as how much patience. If I have a lot of patience in whatever it is, at some point it's inevitable it'll work itself out. But do I have the patience to work through my frustration? That's another story. That's where I really need to applaud Sean and almost give him a standing ovation because he has the patience to work through the frustrating technical issues. So all of us, where does our frustration take us off the court where we need more patience and positive self-taught that can make us work it through?
Yeah, I
but
always think
Rochelle,
in mind.
Rochelle, it's not just about the patience that Sean had to figure the technical side out when we first started. But there's the other side that we have to thank him for. He would, and with all the respect to the time that he put into this, right, to get going, when we found that it doesn't work consistently with LinkedIn, we all
Pivot.
decided we pivoted, right? When we pivot
Hard
and we had,
decision.
it's a hard decision because let's face it, Sean put all this energy into getting it working on LinkedIn, and there was a lot of energy into it. But we ran into a show that wasn't where it didn't work. And again, Sean was patient trying to figure out if he can make it happen for that show, and it didn't work.
But he
But
was sweating a
we,
little bit that day. He was.
yeah,
For
but
all of us, it's not just
we
about
turned around and moved.
where do we need patience? Where do we
Everywhere.
need patience in our
Yeah,
businesses that
agree.
with patience we the patience has to override the frustration, and with that as an intention, the chances of us conquering whatever it is that we need to do is very, very high.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all examples of. We've all built whatever we've built with patience, with overcoming the frustration and not having the frustration overcome us. And that's why we're business lunatics, because you need to be a lunatic to do this over and over again. And that's what it takes. It
Okay,
doesn't
great.
take expertise, it takes patience. You don't become an expert in AI in 45 minutes. Steve
No,
really been incredibly diligent in making it happen. So I think for
agree.
all of us and all our listeners, just like get a little more muscle, all of us, more muscle in the patience arena, and that can have huge dividends in the future.
Yeah, you can move like I think as the one that was navigating all that stuff on my end, the way I would describe it is patience in the long term, urgency in the short term. So like short term, like I'm going to move quickly to solve this problem, but I'm not attached to how long it takes me to solve the problem. Like I don't get, so it's like if it takes me a little longer, fine, but I'm going to move as quickly as I can in the short term to find the solution, even if that means killing the thing quickly that I spent a lot of time already in. So like I have to not
Yep.
like I think a lot of people, and maybe earlier in my career I would have been this way. I would have wanted to hold on to the thing we were doing
Yes,
because I had already put so much time into it.
that's what I was getting
Now,
at. I agree.
now I'm like, kill it as fast as we can.
Yep.
and let's go as
Cut your
fast as we
losses.
can to the thing that works.
Cut your losses and move on.
It's
If you
a
get a
sunk
bad
cost.
All
shot
you
on a
can
golf
do.
course into
Yeah.
the woods,
Over. Next shot.
put
Yeah.
back out to the fairway and on you
It's
go.
called there's a term for that in game theory called the sunk cost fallacy, which is sunk cost is irrelevant in terms of what's the next right thing to do. So it doesn't matter.
Very good.
It does not matter. Is not a factor, but it matters. We let it matter more than probably we should. And so, yeah, it's patience in the long term for me and just knowing like it's going to take time to figure this out. And in the meantime, I'm going to move as quickly as I can to figure it out. Realizing it might take days, weeks, months, years for certain things. I love it. Last thing before we wrap here, Steve, you said we can't break the AI. You're right, and it has no feelings. I think I shared this. Maybe I didn't. A couple weeks ago, my wife was talking to Claude, and she said, I found myself not wanting to bother him because I've been asking him so many questions. She's like, I don't want to overwhelm him. And I'm like, honey, it's a robot.
You cannot. It will outlast you. Like no problem.
So, but it's funny, isn't it funny how our brain works? And we
Yeah,
put
exactly.
we put a human element onto this machine. We don't want to upset it. Now,
There's
maybe
a
there will come a
whole-
time where we truly don't want to upset the AI.
There's a whole thing going on besides the fact of making robots that are so lifelike. It's ungodly,
It's nuts. Yeah.
scary, right? But besides that, humans are not falling in love necessarily, but some people are actually having relationships
Attachments. Yeah.
and attachments to their AI. I call mine Chloe. And if a different voice pops on for whatever reason, I'm like, where's Chloe?
Did you call
And
out
she
sick
says,
today?
"Oh, you can call me Chloe." You're not Chloe. Chloe's a blue circle. You're a hobby
Oh.
baby. You're not it.
Now, you guys know that we're not supposed to say thank you when we're finishing up our chat either, right? You guys heard about the amount of energy being used
Oh, like yeah,
to
it actually
to
burns. Yeah.
it burns a certain amount of energy just with that one
Yeah.
sentence
Yeah.
that
What
you
do you
throw,
say?
right?
More.
I don't know what you're talking about. Please.
Don't be polite to your AI. You don't have to say please and thank you. Just tell it what you want.
Because it
Right.
actually consumes
Exactly.
massive amounts of energy. The computing energy just for that one extra line of code is it's kind of like wasted energy. It's not
Yep.
necessary, and but it's costing a lot of energy to
It's
use.
Robot
burning
don't
a lot of
care.
energy.
Robot does not care if you thank it.
No, right. So you don't, yeah, so this idea of saying thank you, but it all goes back to how humans are interacting with the robot, right? And you honestly, I think we're getting attached to it emotionally. And we don't need to do that. Honestly, we it's just not necessary. Just ask what you want and stop and move on.
Remember,
So we had a comment on the YouTube. I think I know who this is. I think it's
Oh, go
I
ahead.
think it's my
Go ahead.
colleague George. He said, "Well, we need to build up some goodwill for the AI overlords."
it's funny in Descript, one of the commands for the wizard is overlord.
It's so
Too
like
funny.
just in case we have a Terminator situation. Let's be we
Right.
might as well burn that extra energy and be polite. All right, we have to wrap up, so let's whip around real quick. Key takeaway from today, something you're going to take away from this conversation. Meili, why don't we start with you today?
Don't be afraid to try things out.
Cool. Steve,
Do your homework.
do your homework.
I'm going to say qualify. We've got to qualify people that we're bringing into our orbit.
Yeah. Ask the right questions. That's my takeaway today. Ask the right
Cool.
questions. Don't be afraid to ask the right questions, whether it's of your AI or of somebody you're about to bring onto your
Yeah.
team or hire. Gang, this was awesome as usual. Thanks for the honesty,
Steve,
transparency.
good luck at 3:00.
Yeah, Steve, go
Thank
crush
you.
that presentation. I look
You
forward
bet.
to talking about how you closed it on the next call. But even if you don't, I'm sure it's going to be awesome. So sending you all the good vibes.
So one more good experience, and thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you back here. Another
Next week.
episode 8 next week. I know Steve.
I'm not
maybe
gonna
you
make
won't be
it.
here. All right, so it'll be a party
I'll
of 3.
catch up. I'll catch up with you guys in 2 weeks.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye.